There's a couple things that have been in the forefront of the news lately. One is privacy concerns with the recent attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas. Elon's been very cooperative. Elon Musk has been very cooperative with the law enforcement, and it's actually getting some interesting attention from people who are concerned about the level of telemetry and information that is gathered from the Tesla vehicles. And this is something that's come up before. Big Brother, right? So this is Big Brother monitoring us, and should we be paranoid about these things? My personal feelings are yes and no. So if you want to live like the Amish and be completely off the grid, that is a valid way of living. However, if you're going to live in a society where people have careers in science and technology, there's going to be a constant push of implementing what is learned from the science and what is manufactured from the technology. And that's where we are today, right? We our vehicles, we've gone from horse and buggy to gasoline to electric to now even rockets. Pretty soon it's going to be flying cars and jetpacks. So there are going to be levels of concern at every single level of these developments. And I think we need to take those with a grain of salt in the context in which we live. So, yes, there is a level of control involved in these. But at the same time, that telemetry and that data provides features that people actually want. Let me give you a case in point. Google Maps and Apple Maps. How many of us use this software and the technology in order to get from one place to another? A lot of us, right? Did you know that when you put in a destination and it shows you the different colors on how dense the traffic is between point A and point B, the reason or the way that they can show you that is because everybody's phone silently sends data to Google servers. Like, I don't know if Apple does it. But yeah, so this is something that people have speculated. That's why people want to de-Google their phone, is because your phone, whether you like it or not, in one way or another, you have agreed to send telemetry to Google that they can in turn use to get that information about traffic, right? So that's just one example. And it provides a benefit, it provides a service to us that most people value, because when you put in your destination, you can see where the slow spots are and maybe adjust your destination accordingly. And for that benefit, you give up a level of privacy, right? So now you may want to go de-Google your phone, which if you're in the United States and in other parts of the world, you have that right. You can de-Google your phone so that it doesn't do that. That is a possibility. There are dumb smartphones that don't have any connectivity other than cell phone, which if enough people do this, they're just going to use cell phone data to provide the same information. They can see the amount of cell phone activity in an area. But right now, Google, it's just easier for them to send the telemetry to know where everybody is. And when there's enough account holders in a location, they can see that there's a dense traffic. Likewise with Elon Musk and his Tesla vehicles. These things have more than 9 cameras on them, right? You've got one on the back, one on the front, one on each side. Actually, you've got 2 on each side of the vehicle, 3 in the windshield, and 1 pointing into the cab. There may be more than that, but that's the foundation of Tesla vehicles. And as far as I know, all of them have that many cameras since they've been producing them with cameras. They've gone through different sensor suites, but that's their primary source of data is camera telemetry. So, and they record absolutely everything. It is a requirement if you want to have a self-driving car. And some people are willing to give up that privacy, give up that data, because you're allowing them to record you. The one in the camera tells if you're falling asleep or not, if you're paying attention to the road. If you look at the center console for too long, it will start beeping at you, going beep, 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 beep. Please pay attention to the road. If you do it too often, it will pull over and tell you can't self-drive anymore. So yeah, we give up a certain level of privacy in order to have these things. And along with that technology, we get privileges and features and advancements. So unless you want to live like the Amish, these are the things that we put up with. Um, it's kind of like voting with your dollar. Looking at how many people value the features that are provided, that we're voting. So yes, there are going to be people who are against that, understandably, given the corruption of systems that we're involved in. Hopefully someday that will come to an end. Anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. That if you have an issue against privacy, consider changing your lifestyle to being more like Amish. Otherwise, it's just this is the world that we live in, and these are the compromises that we make in order to have features. And here's the thing, though, is a lot of time those features outweigh the benefits of those features outweigh the consequences of giving up your privacy, right? So the ability to have a car that is capable of driving itself gives you a factor of safety significantly greater than a car that can't. Just go on YouTube and look at how many accidents Teslas have prevented. The cars are able to react faster than it's humanly possible for a human to. So, for instance, if there's a car that's dead in the road and somebody in front of you is not paying attention and they swerve out of the way at the very last minute and you don't humanly have the reaction time to react as quickly as the other guy who saw it before you, the Tesla can react faster than you can and actually avoid the accident. And there's a lot of examples of that happening. So in a lot of cases, the features outweigh the consequences of giving up your potential privacy. And they don't record audio as far as I know. It's just video. But there is a massive amount of telemetry that comes out of those vehicles. And that's why Elon has been in the news so much, is because they know so much information about the guy who attacked the Trump Tower with the Tesla Cybertruck, because of the amount of information that the vehicles actually record. And there's other benefits. It makes them unstealable. It makes them terrible vehicles for terrorism, because if you're counting on any secrecy, or if you're counting on, I can only imagine that he was assuming that the batteries in the Cybertruck were going to provide an additional source of fuel for the explosion. He should have done better research, because there's so much. I mean, those things are encased in titanium. They're waterproof, and they also have this fire retardant goo in them too. As far as I know, I don't think the batteries even caught fire in that explosion. The Cybertruck contained the explosion, directed it upwards, and the only person who died in that incident was the guy who drove it. There was a gentleman who was standing pretty close to the truck. I think he just got blown back and hurt. So that's an example of, if you want the benefits of these things, sometimes you've got to give up. You have to understand, society and technology and features. Anyway, so yeah. The other thing that I wanted to talk about this morning, because there's not a whole lot of things to report on right now. The only thing that's really going on is Elon is in the news and Trump is preparing for his inauguration. I'll come back on later tonight with a quick little update if there's anything that happens today. The other thing that I wanted to address is I'm seeing a lot of comments with these accusations that Elon is evil. That is an indication to me that you're actually not paying attention to. It's an indication of the sources of information you're using to learn. If you pay attention to him, he is constantly fighting for freedom. This is why I'm focusing on bringing what they're doing to the forefront. If you don't follow him, if you're not following, purer sources of information, you're likely to get the, legacy fake news propaganda from the people who he torments, who hate him, who are going to try and get you to hate him and Donald Trump as well. So something that's come up recently is that he's involved in the occult, that he practices witchcraft. The only thing I can figure is this is based on his old profile image when he was in his Halloween costume wearing that Diablo costume. People see these things and make a lot of assumptions. If you're not aware, Elon Musk, he runs at least 5 companies, 5 world-changing companies. He's an incredibly busy guy. In his downtime, he plays video games in order to de-stress. And the video game that for the last couple of years that he's been playing is a game called Diablo. And it turns out that he is actually he's the number 1 player in the United States. And he plays on hard mode, which I believe hard mode is once you die, you can't play that character anymore. I could be wrong. I don't play Diablo. But because of his investment into this game and being the number 1 player, I can only imagine that he was dressing the part for this game. I mean, that's what you do when you dress up. And I honestly don't hold that against him. And I think this is one of the things where man looks on the outside of appearance in order to judge, where God looks on the heart. And I would encourage people to look at what he says and what he does. Don't focus so much on the outside appearance, because someone just dressing up in a costume representing a game that they play is not indicative of their morals, their beliefs, or if they're involved in the occult. Here's an example for you. How many of you watch Avengers? Right? Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, movies of these sorts. If I were to watch you cheering on Thor in the Avengers, or Thor of Ragnarok, or Thor for Love and Thunder, would I be correct to assume that you worship this false Greek god Thor based on the fact that you watch a movie that has him as a character? I liken that to the same thing as judging somebody that plays a game or maybe dresses up in a costume as if that is a defining characteristic of their life. My point being, be careful how you judge people. Remember that God looks at the heart, and do better research. If you find yourself hating somebody, find out why. Is it because somebody is funneling you information? Do you have the full picture? Or are you only getting information from one source, from somebody who hates him and wants you to hate him too? And that goes for anybody. Anyway, those were a couple of things that came up that I wanted to let people know about this morning. Technology, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but it also comes with a lot of benefits. Personally, I choose to drive Tesla vehicles. I do, and the reason is I have a family, I have children, and they are the safest vehicles on the road. And they're not expensive now. I mean, you can get a Tesla for $15,000. Get a used one. You can find all kinds of used vehicles for Teslas for $15,000 to $30,000, or you could, go brand new and get really fancy and $150,000, depending on what you're capable of affording. But personally, they're one of the biggest causes of injuries and accidents is rollovers. Teslas are impossible to roll over because it's like one of those. Have you ever seen those punching bags where you punch the bag and they're like kids punch them and it goes down and it comes back up again because it's got that big sand weighted base? That's kind of what a Tesla does, is because it's got so much weight in the bottom of the vehicle from the battery that if there's a situation where a car would normally roll, Teslas won't. They'll stay flat. So that is a massive feature for protection that prevents a lot of injuries. Also, Tesla is very adamant about structural integrity because they don't have an engine. that if there's a frontal crash, the engine's not going to impede into the driver area. Most accidents, as I understand, come from the side, so they're heavily reinforced. Tesla, if you're not aware, they build their cars so well that they literally broke the testing machines that test how safe cars are. The testing industry had to design completely new technology in order to test how to break Teslas. So that's why I personally drive them. And I am willing to give up a certain level of privacy, and that's based on I currently trust Tesla. They've treated us well. We've driven them for a decade. We've been driving them since they make them for these exact reasons. Is I want my family safe. I also work in technology, so it's nice to have cars that have technology in them. So you may think differently. You may prefer to drive a vehicle with manual everything for your various reasons, but I personally prefer the safety, and I'm willing to allow them to get the recordings that they need so that they can continue to make the vehicle safer. So, yeah, what else? That's basically it. Just wanted to talk about those things this morning with you. I'll come back on later if I have anything to update you on. So, in the meantime, God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.